So good afternoon and hello everyone. Welcome to this live virtual English project Best Learning Best Practices sharing session. Kindly need your kind attention. If you are currently watching via YouTube, please register your attendance on the link given on the comment section. If you miss it, don't worry. The link will be displayed from time to time. Thank you. A very warm welcome and good afternoon to our guest of honors, Mr. Shamsir bin Nureddin, the Vice Head Officer of Lahad Datu District Education Office, the always hardworking Madam Cindy Pehlifun, SISC Plus Officer of Language Unit, Learning Center of Lahad Datu District Education Office, distinguished presenters, respective SIP Plus, SIC Plus, school heads, fellow lecturers, and teachers. My name is Swenson Jr., and I'm your virtual MC for today. Welcome to the live virtual on sharing of best practices in Project Best Learning 2022 for primary school in Lahad Datu District. Now, to kickstart this session, I would like to humbly invite Mr. Shamsir bin Nureddin, the Vice Head Officer of Lahad Datu District Education Office, for his speech to officially officiate this session. Mr. Shamsir.
Terima kasih pengacara majlis. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang saya hormati Puan Peh Lipun, Pegawai SIC Plus Unit Bahasa, Sektor Pembelajaran PPD Lahad Datu, terusnya barisan pengetua dan guru besar kalau ada ya. Seterusnya para pembentang untuk modul PBL Bahasa Inggris, sekolah rendah, serta guru-guru bahasa Inggris yang dikasihi sekalian. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, salam Sabah Maju Jaya, salam sepakat Sabah hebat, salam PPD Lahad Datu melestarikan kecemerlangan. Jadi terlebih dahulu saya ingin sampaikan salam daripada Tuan PPD kita, Tuan Abdul Aziz bin Abdul Rashid, kerana beliau tidak dapat bersama-sama kita pada petang ini kerana beliau ada urusan yang rasmi yang lain. Jadi pertama sekali syukur kerana kita dapat bersama-sama dalam program pada petang ini. Jadi tahniah. Pertama sekali tahniah dan syabas kepada 13 orang pembentang modul dan ahli jawatan kuasa atas kejayaan dalam pelaksanaan perkongsian amalan terbaik modul PBL CEFR-Aligned Guidebook for Primary ELT yang bertemakan Reimagining Learning Opportunities for Pupil Success pada hari ini. Jadi kita sedia maklum tugas pendidik kini semakin mencabar dan tidak tertakluk semata-mata untuk menyampaikan ilmu pengetahuan. Menggalas gelaran guru abad ke-21, warga pendidik perlu lebih bersikap terbuka dan bersedia untuk membuat perubahan dalam mengendalikan sesi PDPC. Di samping itu, selaras dengan dasar memartabatkan bahasa Malaysia dan memperkukuhkan bahasa Inggris, MBM, MBI, maka saya yakin dengan dedikasi guru yang proaktif dan sentiasa berusaha untuk memberi pendidikan bermutu berterusan dalam PK21, program ini mampu mendorong para guru bahasa Inggris untuk memberi peluang kepada murid-murid mencapai tahap penguasaan tertinggi iaitu TP6 dalam pentaksiran bilik darjah atau PPD. Dengan melaksanakan pembelajaran berasaskan projek ataupun disebut PBL. Melalui pelbagai jenis aktiviti pembelajaran terbeza dan bermakna yang mencabar minda murid-murid dalam peningkatan mutu pendidikan di daerah kita, terutama penguasaan bahasa Inggris secara beradab misali dan boleh dicontohi. Saya percaya dengan penerbitan modul PBL berasaskan pengalaman PDPC guru bahasa Inggris, sumbangan artifaks yang dihasilkan oleh murid-murid serta cadangan penambahbaikan aktiviti mampu memberi faedah kepada para guru untuk merujuk serta mencuba aktiviti-aktiviti PBL di sekolah masing-masing kelak. Oleh itu, saya berharap dengan perkongsian amal terbaik ini mampu membawa semua warga pendidik untuk berdaya saing, lebih berinovatif dan efektif dalam mengurus situasi pembelajaran di sekolah. Kesemua ini boleh dicapai sekiranya warga pendidik bersama-sama komited terhadap tugas hakiki mereka dalam mentransformasi pendidikan yang dihasratkan melalui plan pembangunan pendidikan Malaysia yang menyasarkan kemenjadian murid berkualiti dan berdaya saing. Rasanya itu saja ucapan saya pada petang ini. Sekian, terima kasih. Rasanya mic pengacara majlis tertutup ya. Oh, mic.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Shamsid, for gracing this live visual sharing session on PBL best practices with your presence and speech. Thank you. It is crystal clear that the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted our people's learning in one way or another for the past 2 years. Yet today, the language unit of the learning sector, PPD Lahad Datu, has managed to create this special platform to invite 13 respected primary school teachers from various high achiever schools to share their impressive success stories on implementing project-based learning activities in their class. Just to ring up the bell, project-based learning is an instructional approach designed to give students the opportunity to develop knowledge and skills through engaging projects set around challenges and problems. By this way, we are helping our students by preparing them to face the difficulties and obstacles that they may face in the real world. Respected attendees, without further ado, I would like to invite our first presenter, Ms. Eli Ornella Suliman from SK Fajar Harapan to kickstart this sharing session. With 6 years of experience, she is currently the head of English panel in her school.
Good day, everyone. My name is Eli Ornella Suliman from SK Fajar Harapan Lahad Datu, Sabah. Today I'm going to present my year for project-based learning, Unit 4 celebration, which is celebrating special days. Some details about myself. I am Eli Ornella Suliman. I'm from Papar, Sabah, and I'm currently teaching in SK Fajar Harapan Lahad Datu. I'm the head of English panel in our school, and I have 6 years of teaching experience. And for this year, I'm teaching year 4, year 5, and year 6. So without further ado, I'm going to share my lesson plan for my PBL. So my class is for Muchara and the theme is World of Knowledge, Unit 4 Celebration, and the title of my PBL is Celebrating Special Days. So my focus skills, the main skill is speaking and the complementary skill is writing. And for the learning objective, there are 3 objectives here. The first one is list down at least 10 celebrations in Malaysia, talk about any celebration in Malaysia, and write sentences to describe any celebration in Malaysia. So the cross-curricular element, patriotism, creativity, and innovation. The moral values are respect and cooperation. And the duration, 26th of July to 8th of August 2002, and it took me about 2 weeks. And the resources are Get Smart Plus 4, the textbook, and the module practice PBD English Year 4. Moving on to my curriculum questions, the essential question is, do you enjoy yourself when celebrating special days? Unit question, how do you celebrate special days? And the content questions are, what are special days for you? What are the special days that you celebrate? What do you do during the celebration of special days? How is the preparation before the celebration? Why do you need to celebrate special days? Whom do you celebrate the special days with? And how do you feel when celebrating special days? So by the end of the PBL, they would be able to answer all these questions. Now let's take a look at my project timeline. As I have mentioned before, it took me 2 weeks to finish my PBL. So I started on 26th of July 2022. So what I did here was I introduced them to the topic. I asked them what is celebration and special days, and then we sing along and we complete the tree map, and then the last one listing down celebration in Malaysia. You can see the picture down there. That is the lyrics of the song, and then we can find this in the textbook. About the king of kites, and then of course we did kite making activity, and then the last one is writing reflection. On the next day we touch on Mother's Day. We watch a Mother's Day video, and then after that we made a fruit salad, and then we answered questions orally, and this is how I conducted the reflection session with my pupils. So by the end of day 5, I have introduced 5 different types of celebration to my pupils. I actually want them to be familiar with different types of celebration before we move on to the actual part of the PBL. So on the 2nd August 2002, we started the actual part of the PBL. We did some brainstorming activity. First, we choose a celebration. Each group must choose a celebration, and then after that, they created a bubble map of activities they can do during the celebration, and they also added some pictures to suit their activities. So we started making our PowerPoint slide for the presentation on the 3rd August, and it took us about 3 days to complete the process. And the presentation day, the final part, was on 8th of August 2002. So here they presented their PowerPoint slides, and then we did some sharing thoughts for the reflection session, and then of course the prize giving ceremony. Here are my rubrics. So I used speaking rubrics and writing rubrics, and this actually I get from the DSKP. The rubrics are very important for us teachers to identify which level is suitable for our pupil. And then, but for me, in my opinion, the rubric from the DSKP is too general, and I came up with another rubrics, the overall performance level for the project. And actually, these rubrics help me a lot in identifying my pupils' level. So next, I'm going to share with you some of the results of my PBL. So we start with day 1. I took some pictures of my pupils' work, their tree maps, and then some of the celebration they have listed down. There are minor errors there, the spelling, and I have corrected them. And moving on to the next day, this is the Gawai Dayak Day activity. As I have mentioned before, we watch video, and then we completed the infographic. So here are the infographic. In day 2, we actually learn about the ngajat dance and then what food they eat during Gawai Day celebration, and it was so much fun. On day 3, we focused on birthday celebration. We did some readings and we did question and answer session. And the last part, I asked my pupil to draw and color the decoration of their birthday party. As you can see here, these are some of the pictures from my pupils' work. Therefore, we focused on wedding celebration. We read The King of Kites, and then after that, we made some kites. We watched a video on TikTok on how to make a simple kite. We did the kites together, and then after that, we did some reflection writing activities. And moving on to the next day, day 5, we focused on Mother's Day. So here we watch a video of Mother's Day, and then after that we did some sharing session with my pupils, and we made some fruit salads. Yeah. So the actual part happened in day 6. We did some brainstorming. I asked them to pick a celebration for their groups, and then they discussed what are the things or the activities they can do during that celebration, and then they also drew some pictures. So the next day we went to the computer lab and started making slides, and honestly speaking it was a bit challenging for me as a teacher because some of my pupils, they didn't have the basic on how to use the computer and on how to make a PowerPoint slide. So I have to teach them from the start. But it was fun. So moving on to the final part, this was the presentation day. So I'm going to share with you some of the PowerPoint slides. The first one is the Christmas Day slides from one of the groups. So actually I'm super proud of them. As you can see here, they did very well, I would say. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences with pictures. And another one is Hari Raya Idul Fitri. They have 5 sentences. And actually, I gave some help with the sentences because at first their sentences was a bit off, and I have to correct and add some words to make it a correct sentence. So these are the benefits of my PBL. I can see that my pupils show interest in learning. They can do all the activities. They were having fun, and then they also learn how to use the computer and make the PowerPoint slide. They also learn how to communicate and collaborate better with their friends, and also I can see that their confidence level have increased. And for the aspects to be improved, some of the group have difficulty to write sentences, so I should provide them with sentence pattern next time. And there are some people that barely contribute to the group. So maybe I should assign specific roles and change the roles every day. And then the last one, the low English proficiency pupils in the group. So maybe I should group them together and provide extra guidance. So that is all from me. Thank you for listening, and I hope this PBL should give something to each and every one of us. Thank you.
What a splendid sharing. Thank you, Miss Ellie. Not to waste time, let's give a warm welcome to our second presenter, Miss Farana Shazadia binti Muhammad Hussein from SK Sahabat 4 for her school best practices sharing. With 6 years of teaching experience, she is IPG Tawau alumni.
Assalamualaikum and hello my fellow teachers. My name is Farana Shazadia Hussein, an English teacher at SK Sabang 4. Now I am going to present our project-based learning that had been conducted for my new 4 class. Okay, first of all, this is my lesson plan using the topic celebrations. The title is Celebrating Special Days. For the main skill, I choose speaking, that is 2.1 for the content standard. And for the learning standard, 2.1.5. And then for the complementary skills, I choose writing. For the content standard is 4.2. And the learning standard 4.2.4. Everyone can read from the slides. For the learning objectives, by the end of the project, the pupils should be able to, number 1, list down at least 10 celebrations in Malaysia. Number 2, talk about any celebration in Malaysia. And number 3, write sentences to describe any celebrations in Malaysia. This is the cross-curricular elements, that is patriotism and creativity and innovation. For the moral value, respect others and cooperation. And the duration for this project is 7 days. The main resource is the textbook, Get Smart Plus 4. And the curriculum questions, we start with the essential questions. Do you enjoy yourself when celebrating special days? The unit question is, how do you celebrate special days? And this is the 7 content questions. Number 1, what are special days for you? What are special days that you celebrate? What do you do during the celebration of special days? Number 4, how is the preparation before the celebration? Number 5, why do you need to celebrate special days? Number 6, whom do you celebrate the special days with? And number 7, how do you feel when celebrating special days? Next, we go to the project timeline. For this project, my estimate to complete it in 7 days. But before I start this project, I already gave a briefing to all my students to what needed and what will be evaluated during this project, so that all my students can prepare earlier. So we start with the first day, introduction of the topic. The teacher plays a firework sound, and the pupils guess the sound and they share what do they usually hear about that sound. And then the pupils find the meaning of celebration and special days in the dictionary. And then they listen to the song entitled Special Days and sing the song together with some actions. And then the pupils find some meaning of the words in the song in the dictionary. And the pupils also rewrite the song in a cursive writing. And in groups, the pupils think about other celebration that we celebrate in Malaysia and around the world. And then for the next day, the pupils watch a video about the Sports Day celebration and read about the text for that topic. And then the pupils create a bubble map. And for the third day, the pupils read about Sabrina's special day and find out when is the Sabrina's special days and what is she going to do on that day. And then the pupils think about how they want to decorate their own house for their own birthday party. And then the pupils draw the picture of how they want to decorate the decoration to be. And for the next day, the pupils read about the King of Kites, and then they answer a few questions about the story. What did they celebrate in the story? What did they do for wedding preparation? And what did they learn from the story? And then the pupils watch a YouTube video on how to make a simple kite, and then they follow the step-by-step to make their own kites and write a reflection for the kite making activity. And then for the 5th day, the pupils watch a children's story and read aloud a Mother's Day video on YouTube. And then the pupils write down things that they could do for the Mother's Day celebrations. And then the teacher asks the pupils, had you prepared a meal for your mother before? And the pupils may share the meal they had prepared. And then the teacher introduced a sandwich recipe to the pupils and read the recipe together. And then the pupils make the sandwiches based on the given recipe. So lastly, the teacher asks the questions, how does the sandwiches taste? What do you feel after making the sandwiches? And would you make it for your mother? If you make it for your mother, is she going to like it? Next is creating an invitation card. We choose the birthday party celebrations. So, and then the teacher guide the pupils how to create the invitation card. And the pupils transfer all the information from their bubble map into the card. And lastly is the presentation day. The pupils present their invitation card in front of the class. So during the presentation, question and answer session will be conducted, whether the teacher and the pupils both sides can ask and answer the questions. So lastly, people share their own thoughts on this project by answering the questions. How do you feel after finishing the card? Was it easy or difficult? What are the challenges and what would you like to improve? And the teacher congratulates everyone for giving their best in completing the project and select the best presentation among the pupils and give the rewards. Next is the rubrics. These rubrics we use to determine the pupils' levels of performance. And these are the lowest level and the list of criteria descriptions. Everyone can read from the slides. So next is the middle and upper level for the rubrics. For my weak student, by the end of this project, can at least achieve in level 3, while my average students may show a little bit of upper level criteria. Everyone can read from this slide also. Next is the artifacts from my students' work. Find the meaning using dictionary. Spots their bubble map. Next, the artifacts for kite origami. And then this is more artifacts in making sandwiches and invitation cards presentations. So next is the benefits for this PBL. That is number 1, teachers and pupils enjoy themselves. All the pupils gain new experience inside and outside the classroom. Number 3, pupils can enhance their confidence skills. And number 4, the parents show their supports to their children's learning. And lastly, this is the aspect to improve. There are 3 aspects. Number 1, some people face problems in understanding this instruction. To improve it, we can use a simple English to explain the project to the weak pupils and explain the project in small chunks of words so that the pupils do not feel overwhelmed. Aspect number 2, the pupils felt down whenever they cannot present well or speaking with minimal usage of English words with the other friends. We can improve this by guide pupils to give feedback using simple words and easy to be memorized, and guide pupils to work and collaborate with each other to increase their efficiency. And number three, low English proficiency during the process of learning. We can improve this by provide guidance and speaking templates for weak pupils, ask the good speaker in the group to mentor the weak pupils, and conduct rehearsal among themselves first before presenting in front of teachers and classmates. So that is all my sharing in this project. I hope to see you in other projects in the future. Thank you very much.
That was an eye-opener sharing. Thank you, Ms. Faranas. Now, let's continue this inspiring sharing session momentum by inviting our third presenter for today, Ms. Nur Faraheka binti Abdullah from SK Cendrawasih, an alumni of Islamic Education Teacher Training Institute in Bangi. She has 6 years of teaching experience specializing on English language.
Assalamualaikum and good evening everyone. I am Nur Faraheka binti Abdullah. I am an English teacher who is currently teaching English at SK Cendrawasih since 2016. Thank you for taking your time to listen to my sharing about my project-based learning that I did with my Year 4 students in July 2022. I have selected Unit 4, Celebration, and the title is Celebrating Special Days. PBL involves large time commitment, thus proper planning is very crucial to maximize its implementation. I will share the lesson plan that I use to conduct my project-based learning. I choose speaking and writing as my main skill and complementary skill. I've come up with 3 learning objectives whereby the end of the project, my students should be able to list down at least 10 celebrations in Malaysia. They should also be able to talk about any celebration in Malaysia and write sentences to describe about any celebration in Malaysia. The cross-curricular elements are patriotism, creativity, and innovation. The moral values that I hope my students learn from the project-based learning are respecting others and cooperation. The duration that I estimated to conduct my project-based learning is 2 weeks, but actually I did it for 3 weeks. And then we move on to the curriculum question. The essential question in PBL will drive the project direction. That's why it is also called the driving question. There are a few characteristics that can be considered in writing an essential question. As for me, based on the topic and the title that I chose, I focus on making sure the essential question of my PBL assumes responding arguments will combine information and experiences, and also it will prompt further interest in the topic by leading to many more questions after that. So my essential question will be, do you enjoy yourself when celebrating special days? And then after that, the content question is developed from the essential question. And I have 7 essential questions. You can read from the slides. Now, I will share the project timeline. This is basically just a summary of the activities that I did with my student during the project. We start by listening to the song, and my student complete the 3 map of names and the dates of the celebration, not just in Malaysia, but in the world. And as you can see, the activities, it progressed from there. When they watch videos for Christmas celebration and they answer comprehension question about it, and then based on their creativity and in the group, they decorate their own birthday cake and birthday invitation cards. And then also in group, after they watch a Mother's Day short film, they learn the sandwich recipe and they make their own recipe. This is a very interesting activities because I can see different different outcomes of the sandwiches that they create. And then after that, they choose a celebration. This is a group work and they brainstorm activities that they can do during the celebration and they transfer the information into a bubble map. And then they ready to make their PowerPoint where they create a PowerPoint presentation for the chosen celebration. I guide them on how to do the PowerPoint presentation. I also guide them how to find information in the internet. And then lastly, during the presentation day, the student they present the work, which is the PowerPoint slides. Not just that, they also have like a little bit of sharing of their thoughts on this project. Next, to evaluate my students' work, I need to have a set of criteria to guide me to give my students the score. Therefore, I need to have a rubric. Uh, these are the rubrics that I use to give score to my student. I set 6 level of it. One is the least, and then the maximum will be 6. You can read from the slides. And then after that, this is the artifacts, the product of my students' activities. These are the cake that they decorate, that they design, and then these are the sandwiches that they come up with. There are 5 groups. You can see they create very interesting sandwiches for their mother. And then these are the presentation for PowerPoint slides. Next will be the benefits of PBL. The first one is the pupils, they can show their creativity and they can share their ideas. The student also get the chance to learn English in more interesting ways because as you can see, there are a lot of interesting activities in the project-based learning. The pupils also learn the value of teamwork and guidance. And my student, they also get the chance to learn and use ICT along the way. Why do I say that? I will explain in the next slide. Aspect to improve. Okay, for student, most of my students, they have very limited knowledge on ICT skills. So, due to the limited access to ICT, they have very little knowledge on ICT. I have to teach them on how to use ICT to complete their PBL. Therefore, in the future, I will collaborate with the ICT teacher and the RBT teacher to have like ICT class prior before conducting any project that have to do that has ICT in it. Low English proficiency for the student. So the improvement is I will give guidance and speaking templates for the weaker student, and I will practice more presentation of their work to make them feel more comfortable while presenting. Also, my student have difficulty in understanding the instruction given. So my plan in the future is I will place the pupils in mixed proficiency students so that they can help each other. I also will use simpler English to explain the project. And as for me, the teacher, I need to improve on the students grouping, whereby I am the one who is uh, selecting the group members for them. So in the future, I should give the chance for the people to pick their own group member to work together rather than deciding for them, so that they can make they can make choice, allowing them to feel like they have the power for their own learning journey. That is all for my project-based learning presentation. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you can understand my project-based learning.
Thank you for the captivating sharing, Ms. Nur Faraheka. The activities were indeed tailored for success. Let's proceed to our fourth presenter, Ms. Yvonne Thomas from SJKC Chivun. With 11 years of vast experience, she is currently the head of English panel in her school and also one of the technician officer for English Carnival district level.
Hello everyone. It's been a great pleasure to be sharing with you some of my experience doing PBL at my school. Before I proceed, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Yvonne Thomas, but my pupils used to call me Madam Eve, and I am currently teaching at SJKC Chivun, Lahad, Datu for almost 11 years. Without further ado, let us proceed with my presentation. I had done my project-based learning with my Year 4 pupils. The title of our project is The Future Public Transportation, which is under Module 6, entitled Getting Around from the Get Smart Plus 4 textbook. Before I go any further, let me show you an overview of my PBL journey. First, we will look at my lesson plan, then the rubrics that I had used to evaluate the performances of my pupils, the project timeline and artifacts, the benefits of doing PBL, and also some aspects that need to be improved. Now, let us look at the lesson plan. As you can see here, my main skills are reading and writing, and the complementary skill are listening and speaking. The learning objective of my project is to see by the end of the project, pupils will be able to talk about types of public transport, talk about the advantages of public transport, use dictionary to find the meaning of words, creating simple text using different media, and also they can plan, produce, and display their products. The cross-curricular elements which involved in this project are language, which emphasize on correct language use, environmental sustainability, which refers to anything that further the goal of making life sustainable for the planet, and also creativity and innovation, which is the ability to use imagination together, comprehend and generate ideas to create something new and original, and also the application of creativity through modification, revision, and development of an idea. Now, along this process too, doing the project, pupils are exposed to these moral values: cooperation, responsible, tolerance, and also respect with each other. Now let us look at my PBL essential questions, which is also known as the driving questions. It's the question I pose to my pupils in order to get them to investigate a problem or process. So my essential question is, how do people travel from one place to another? With these essential questions, it helped my pupils to think, explore, and come out with a solution at the end of the project. The unit questions is why public transportation is important. Meanwhile, as you can see here, my content questions consist of 7 questions that are designed to test the superficial knowledge of facts and information among my pupils. Now let us look at question number 1. What is the meaning of public transportation? What are the modes of public transportation in Malaysia? What is the use of public transportation to people? Why should we use public transport? How does public transport help the economy? Why is the public transportation is the better choice? And finally, how can I make my future public transportation more attractive? Now let's look at the rubrics, the scoring guidelines that I use to evaluate my pupils' work. There are 4 aspects of skills that I use for this PBL: listening skills, speaking skills, reading skills, and writing skills. Each skill consists of 6 performance levels. For example, speaking skills, where pupils will assess whether they can talk about the advantages of public transport. For level 1 pupils, they can only describe people and objects using fixed phrases with a lot of support. Meanwhile, for level 6 pupils, they can describe people and things creatively using suitable statements. Now let us move to the project timeline. At the beginning of this project, my pupils watch a video from YouTube entitled Public Transport in Malaysia. After that, they need to make a poster about the advantages of the public transport and present their findings. At the second meeting, pupils will use a dictionary to find few words given from me and jot it down into their exercise book. These words were taken from an article that will be given to them in the next class. Now, this is an important stage where I enrich my pupils' reading vocabulary so that they understand what they read, and also it can ease their frustration of not knowing and difficulties as they read the text later on. At the third meeting, pupils will read an article entitled "The 6 Most Unique Types of Public Transportation Around the World." After reading the article, pupils will answer few comprehension questions. At the fourth interaction, I asked my pupils to make a scrapbook about the public transportation around the world and in Malaysia. My pupils are not aware about the public transport that we have, as most of them travel with family cars. So this task is good to give them exposure about our public transportation. Next, I divided my pupils into groups and asked them to design a blueprint of their future public transportation. They need to emphasize on the special features of their transportation possess, such as it can fly or maybe use only one tire. After that, they need to present it in front of the class. For their final task, pupils were asked to build their transportation model using toilet tissue rolls. Once they finish it, they will present it to the class and we will have a gallery walk. Now, let us look at the benefits of doing PBL. Well, there are lots of benefits of doing the PBL. First, it gives me the opportunity to build good relationship with my pupils as we get to communicate more along the process of making the project. I also found out that my pupils are getting better in solving and managing problems among themselves and also while doing the project. They also develop their creative thinking skills when I ask them to think about the special features of the transportation. Finally, it helps to boost up their self-confidence when standing in front of others and present their works. However, there are few aspects that I need to improve. First, I need to find out the problems among some of my pupils who don't have interest in doing the PBL. Other than that, some pupils produce their projects that are low below their capabilities. They have good idea, but the quality of their works are not that good. So I guess I need to establish a culture of quality work from the start. Finally, I found out some pupils may lose interest of doing the project after some times. Therefore, I need to follow up their progress from time to time. By the end of this project, it's not about what we as a teacher has covered, but it's about what our student has discovered. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention and see you again.
Thank you for the compelling sharing, Miss Yvonne. Hats off to you. On to our fifth presenter, Miss Friska Marcelina Dolusin from SK Pekan. With 6 years of teaching experience, she is currently one of the technician officers for English Carnival District level.
Hello, good morning everyone. Today I will be presenting a project-based learning that I have done entitled My Healthy Plate in Sekolah Kebangsaan Pekan Lahad Datu. Before I proceed, allow me to introduce myself. I am Friska Marcelina Dolusin. Together with my partner Mr. Adrian Parinas, joined our hands for the success of this project. The project was done in the span of 4 weeks, starting from the 8th to the 26th of August. It was based on the project from Year 4's Get Smart textbook, page 55. By the end of this lesson, people will be able to plan a menu according to the healthy plate measurement. So what we will look into is the first one is the lesson plan and rubrics, process of learning and artifacts, and also the benefits and aspects to be improved from this project-based learning. The target of this project is Year 4 ELTism of SK Pekan Lahad Datu. There were a total of 48 people of various backgrounds. They came from low to intermediate proficiency level. So this is the lesson plan that I've used during this project-based learning. The theme of this lesson is World of Knowledge, and the topic is Eating Right, and the title is Healthy Food. The main skills that I want to emphasize for this project is listening and speaking. The content standard is number 1.2, understand meaning in a variety of familiar contexts, and 2.1, communicate simple information intelligibly. The learning standard is 1.2.1, understand with support the main idea of longer simple text, and also 2.1.1, explain and give reasons for basic opinions. Other than that, the complementary skill that I wish to bring out together with the main skill is reading and writing. The content standard for reading is 3.2, which is understand a variety of linear and non-linear print and digital text by using appropriate reading strategies. And 4.2, communicate basic information intelligibly for a range of purposes in print and digital media. The learning standard is 3.2.4, recognize and use with little or no support key features of a simple monolingual dictionary, and 4.2.4, describe people and objects using suitable statements. The learning objective is by the end of this project, pupils will be able to number one, talk about healthy menu for a meal, use a dictionary to find the meaning of words, and also create simple text using different media, non-linear or linear. The cross-curricular elements is science and arts. Moral value from this lesson is self-reliant and also responsible. The resources that I've used during this lesson is Get Smart Plus 4, YouTube channel, Google Image, and also Google. These are the curriculum questions that I wish people to answer during this project-based learning. The essential question is what kind of food is healthy? The unit question is why is healthy food important? While the content questions are number one, what is the meaning of healthy food? Number two, what kind of food are healthy? Which food should we eat the most or the least? Why should we eat healthy food? How does healthy food help the body, and why is healthy food is the better choice? These are the timeline for my project. On the 8th of August, people watch a YouTube video entitled Healthy Plate. Then they will talk about food that can be eaten regularly. They also will talk about junk food. The lesson continues on the next day. Using the previous knowledge that they did on the previous day, they will read the text on the textbook, page 55. Then they will use the dictionary to find the meaning of these words: healthy, serving, grains, vegetables, meal, nutrition, balance, moderation. And they will write in their exercise book. On the 10th of August, they will read the articles Healthy Diet Facts for Kids, then answer this question in the exercise book. Number one, what is a healthy diet? And then they need to list down all the food groups in the food pyramids, and in their opinion, why do they need a healthy diet? On 11th of August, they will be making a food pyramid. Peoples will get into group and they will search for pictures of food from the internet, and each group will be provided with a pyramid, and they will use the pictures that they have, and based on previous knowledge, peoples will recreate the food pyramid by pasting the food onto the pyramid. This lesson were done in the school computer lab. On the 15th until 18th of August, they will use the pyramid that they've done and then individually create a healthy menu for either breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Step 6. The menu should be in the forms of scrapbook, meaning each pupils will do one and it will be combined into a scrapbook. Then in step 7, people should describe the meal, the name of the food, serving size, and why did they choose the food. The presentation will be done on the 22nd until 26th of August, which is the step 8. They will present their work in the classroom. This is the rubric that I've used to measure the listening skill. My main focus is from Band 3 until Band 6, where they can display understanding of the main ideas, specific information and details of longer simple text, short simple narratives, longer questions and classroom instruction with support, until can understand the main ideas, specific information and details of simple text and narratives, longer questions and classroom instruction with support by responding to given tasks easily. For the speaking skill, I want them to be able to describe the food that they have used in their healthy plate menu using suitable statements adequately, or they can either describe the food and in their healthy plate menu creatively using suitable statements. For reading skills, they will be able to guess the meaning of unfamiliar words from the clues provided by title and topic, as well as use dictionary skills effectively. For their writing skills, they will be able to communicate basic and personal information from the healthy plate menu and describe the food using suitable statements with some relevant details. The project started with a listening and speaking lesson by watching a video from YouTube. They then will talk about the food that can be eaten regularly or the junk food that cannot be eaten regularly. As you can see from the screen, pupils were using the dictionary to find meaning. All of them were able to use the dictionaries effectively to find the meaning of words. Then people start gathering materials for the food pyramid and also healthy plate menu. These are some of the people's work that they have done, which is the food pyramid. And this is the examples for the healthy plate menu. As you can see, people create a short speech at the back of the healthy plate before presenting it. Now let's watch one of the presentations from the pupils. This pupil was awarded Band 5 because she was able to describe the food and present information from the healthy plate menu using suitable statements.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Shadira. Today I'm going to present my healthy plate. My healthy plate menu is for dinner. For dinner, I recommend people to eat fish, egg, lettuce, tea, and biscuit with a glass of lemonade. This menu is healthy and delicious. Thank you.
So the benefits of this project is that people show more interest during the teaching and learning process. The hands-on activity aids people to understand the topic, and people can name healthy food and give their opinion on the benefits of healthy food. They were also able to present their own work with confidence. However, there were also aspects to be improved from this project. Number one, pupils that have low proficiency in English. Teachers spent more time with the low proficiency pupils to help in completing the task. Teacher gave more instruction for them and gave more examples to help them in completing the task. And then some pupils tend to talk more and work less during the group work. Teacher made frequent rounds to ensure that every pupils contribute in the group work and to monitor them during the group work. This is to ensure that no members is a passenger member. And then the last one is there was a delay in between presentation of the pupils because some were too shy. That's why teacher asked pupils to practice to build their confidence and also gave rewards for those who have finished first to motivate other pupils. That's all for this project. Thank you.
Thank you for the captivating sharing, Miss Friska. Let's give a warm welcome to our sixth presenter, Miss Lim Ai Teng from SJKC Yuk Choi. With 8 years of experience, she has a mathematics education master from UKM.
Greetings everyone. I would like to present our Year 5 project-based learning which entitled Let's Build a Wildlife Park. We are from SJKC Choi, Lahad, Datu. First, let me introduce myself. I am Lim Ai Teng, the head of English panel. Then I will introduce my Year 5 English teachers. This is Leslie Michael Chang. And Mr. Ho Chiwa. Lastly, this is Miss Lovely Midek. Let me show you our project-based learning plan. This is the overview of the plan. This is Unit 3, Wildlife, and the title is Let's Build a Wildlife Park. The main skill is the speaking skill, and the complementary skill is the writing skill. For the learning objective, by the end of the project, pupils will be able to talk about the wildlife in the park and write sentences about wildlife and the park. The cross-curricular elements are science and technology, environmental sustainability, language and values. The moral value is love the animals. This project lasts about 3 weeks, and the resources are English Past 1 and internet web pages. These are the curriculum questions. The essential question is, why do we need to look after nature? The unique question is, how can we help wildlife to live safely? The content questions are, what wildlife do you know? Does it live in the water or on the land? Does it live in our country or foreign country? What kind of animal is called wildlife? What wildlife do you know is in danger? Why is wildlife important to humans and nature? What are the problems faced by wildlife and how can we protect them? Next, let me show you the project timeline. First, ask pupils about essential and unique questions. Then, read the articles, The Ugliest Animal, Blobfish, We Love You. Then, conduct a virtual field trip to a wildlife park, zoo, or aquarium. Pupils search information about the wildlife park that will pique their interest. Then, they summarize the findings in a notebook. Next, teacher divides pupils into groups. Pupils will design their own wildlife park or safari park. Create a brochure to promote the park. Lastly, showcase the pupils' ideal wildlife park. We have created rubrics based on this PBL. Now I'm going to show you. This is the speaking rubric. We have content standard, learning objectives, and performance standards from Band 1 until Band 6. For Band 1, pupils can only describe animals and places using fixed phrases with a lot of support. The highest band is Band 6, which they can describe animals and places creatively using suitable statements. Then, they also show an exemplary model of language use and guide others. This is the writing rubric, which also consists of content standards, learning objectives, and performance standards. We also have Band 1 until Band 6. For Band 1, pupils can display minimal ability to produce and modify a plan or draft of one paragraph in response to feedback. For the highest band, which is Band 6, pupils can produce modify a plan or draft in response to feedback with a variety of relevant details, and then they can display an exemplary model of language use and guide others. Let me show you the artifacts and presentation of learning. This is the poster. As you can see, pupils search the information about hippopotamus and categorize the info into the details such as size, weight, characteristics, habitats, and so on. Pupils also did scrapbook about wildlife. This is a picture where the pupils complete the task and talk about the wildlife in front of the class. This is diorama. Pupils divide the part into different sections, namely, the herbivore animals such as panda and giraffe live together, and then the carnivore, like tigers, will live in different sections. This is another example of model. Pupils label the name of animals like what people do in the zoo. We also conducted gallery walk. Pupils need to do presentation of learning when people visit the groups. The other teachers and pupils can ask questions and give feedback based on the products. Therefore, pupils can do improvement and reflection based on the feedback. These are the benefits that we get after we complete the project-based learning. Overall, teachers and pupils enjoy themselves during the learning process. Pupils are given equal chances to take part in the PBL. No one is being left behind. Besides, pupils can expand their communication outside the classroom by using social media or apps. Based on the classroom-based assessment results, the overall performance of the class has increased. Last but not least, parents show their support for their children's learning. This PPL won't be a success without the unconditional love and support from the parents. We also find some aspects that can be improved next time. First, some pupils face problems in understanding the instructions. Therefore, teacher may use simple English to explain the projects to the weak and then explain the projects in a small chunk so that they do not feel overwhelmed. Next, there isn't enough time to do artifacts in the class. Teachers can guide pupils to conduct the artifacts after the school hours, and then pupils may work and collaborate with each other to increase their efficiency. There are some pupils who are low in English proficiency during the presentation of learning. Therefore, teachers can provide guidance and speaking templates for the week, and also ask the good speaker in the group to mentor the weak pupils. We may also conduct a rehearsal among the pupils before we presenting in front of the class. When they get more practice, they will perform better.
Thank you for the wonderful sharing, Ms. Lim. Next, to our seventh presenter for today, Ms. Sim Lee Sim from SJKC Siuching. With a vast 11 years of teaching experience in English, she is a holder of Educational Management Master from UMS.
Good day, everyone. I am Simlisin from STKC Silchik. Today, I would like to share with you the project-based learning that I have carried out to your 5 pupils. The topic is Unit 3 Wildlife. The title is Let's Build a Wildlife Park. The main scale is speaking, while the complementary scale is writing. By the end of the project, pupils will be able to talk about the wildlife in the park and to write sentences about wildlife and the park. We use 3 weeks to complete the project. The resources that we use are the Student's Book of Year 5 English Plus 1 and the Internet web page. These are the curriculum questions. The essential question is, why do we need to look after nature? The unit question is, how can we help nature to live safely? There are also a few content questions for the students to answer. This is the project timeline. The first lesson was on 13th of June. In the set induction, teacher asked, why do we need to look after nature? The pupils brainstorm and provide feedback. We provide each student with a mini whiteboard and marker pen. They write their opinion and feedback on the whiteboard. Teacher asks a few questions for students to think and answer, and then we also do the activities in the student's book. In the next lesson, we're still using the student's book, which is page 35, entitled The Ugliest Animal, Blockfish Will Love You. The teacher asks students a few questions and we do the activities. In this lesson, pupils need to use a dictionary to check the meaning of the words. They learn the skills to check a dictionary. In the next lesson, we conduct a virtual field trip to a wildlife park. We bring students to the multimedia room of the school. The pupils enjoyed the field trip very much. These are the links for virtual field trip. One of them is Georgia Aquarium and the other one is a safari park. Next, we give students a few days to complete the task. Pupils search for the information about a wildlife that they are interested. They have to summarize the information such as the name, size, habitat, physical appearance of the wildlife. They cannot just copy the whole thing from the internet or encyclopedia. After that, they have to present their finding in front of the class. This is their first presentation. It is new for them. Some of them are shy. Some of them were reluctant to present in front of the class at first. However, after the guidance and encouragement from teachers and their peers, all of them are able to present finally. The next task is a group task. We give pupils a few days to complete the task. The pupils are divided into groups. They are going to design their own wildlife park, safari park, zoo, or aquarium. They have to discuss in group and create a brochure about the park. In the last lesson, after all the pupils have done the project, we have a gallery walk. As the result is amazing, the English panel of my school decided to have a mini exhibition at a meeting room for the whole school. So, pupils from year 1 to year 6 take turns to watch the mini exhibition. Of course, they enjoy it very much. The following are the speaking rubrics. The Content Standard 2.1, communicate simple information intelligibly. The Learning Standard 2.1.5, describe people, places, and objects using suitable statements. And the Learning Objective, talk about the wildlife in the park. These are the performance level from level 1 to level 6. The following are the writing rubrics. The Content Standard 4.3, communicate with appropriate language form and style for a range of purposes in print and digital media. The Learning Standard 4.3.3, produce a plan or draft of 1 or 2 paragraphs for a familiar topic and modify this appropriately in response to feedback. The Learning Objective, write sentences about wildlife and the wildlife park. These are the performance level of writing from level 1 to level 6. The students have produced some artifacts like posters, diorama, brochures, and scrapbooks. These are 2 of the posters that they have created. The interesting diorama of the aquarium and the safari park. Of course, there are more. I only show a few of them. These are the brochures designed by pupils. Some of them designed by themselves, and some of them designed by using a computer. These are 2 of the scrapbooks that the pupils have done. After carrying out the project-based learning, a few benefits can be obviously seen. Firstly, more engagement of pupils is seen during the teaching and learning processes. Pupils pay more attention and answer questions more eagerly. Moreover, pupils also show more interest in learning. They tell teachers that the activities are fun and they are looking forward to more interesting activities in the future. Furthermore, pupils are able to communicate and collaborate better with their peers and teachers. They are less shy and less reluctant to present in front of the class after the PBL. However, there are a few aspects to be improved that we have identified. We found that some pupils focus more on drawing and crafting instead of reading and writing. To overcome this problem, teachers need to always remind the pupils to focus more on the main skill and the complementary skills. And teachers also need to provide more guidance from time to time. Besides that, we noticed that there are some passengers that barely contribute to the group. So, the teacher or the group leader may assign specific tasks to each member, so everyone plays the role. One of the saddest thing is we can see low English proficiency in some of the pupils. There are some pupils that are very good in English, but there are also some pupils that are having very low English proficiency. Teacher needs to identify the weaker pupils or weaker groups and hence give more support for the products and presentation. Before I end my presentation, I'd like to share with you one of my favorite quotes by John Holt. Learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of the activity of learners. Thank you.
Thank you for the awesome sharing, Miss Sim. Let's lend our ear to the presenter Miss Bibiana binti Anthony Mayo from SK Payang. With a staggering 14 years of experience, she is currently the head of English panel in her school.
Hi, Assalamualaikum and good evening. I am Bibiana Anthony Mayo and currently I'm teaching in SK Payang. So today I would like to present my English project-based learning year 5. This is the PBL plan that I had created and used in my class progress story. The topic is taken in Unit 1, Towns and Cities, and the title is 7 Best Places in Lahad. There are 2 content standard that I chose. Number 1 is 2.1, communicate simple information intelligibly, and 4.2, communicate basic information intelligibly, purposes in reprint and digital media. I chose 2 skills in this project because I want the students to improve themselves in speaking and writing skills. The learning standard that I used in this project is 2.15, describe people, places, and objects using suitable statements, and 4.24, describe people, places, and objects using suitable statements. The learning objective is, by the end of the project, pupils will be able to 1. Talk about 7 best places in Lahad, and 2. Describe best places in Lahad in written form. So the cross-curricular elements involved in this project are environment, sustainability, language and value, and also ICT. The moral value implemented are cooperation and love for the nature. The duration for this project took about 2 weeks, starting 13 June to 25th June. The resources that I use here is using the SBELC document, textbook, PBL compilations, and website. As for the curriculum questions, the first one is the essential question, how can we promote tourism in Malaysia? Unit question, how would you promote your local town as a tourist attraction? And for the content questions, I created 7 questions. Number 1 is, what is tourist attraction? What are the interesting places in your town? What make these places interesting? 4. What do the authorities do to promote these places? 5. What activities can you do if you are a nature lover? Number 6. Where can you go if you are a food lover? And the last question is, if you were a district officer, how would you promote your town to be a tourist attraction? This is the project timeline. We started on the 13th June. So on the first, second day, I divide the pupils into groups. I give them the essential and unit questions. I tell them that the pupils are going to work in group and they are going to describe about best places in Lahad. So they are going to have a project. And I let them start thinking, generating their ideas using the I think map or mind mapping. And before they start looking for more information, we talk about what is the meaning of best place to eat or eatery, or which place have nice view, which place is the best to relax, hiking, and so on. So the next following day, the people start searching for information based on the information they have in the previous lesson, and they discuss in their group how to get information needed. They may refer to the books or brochure in the school library or the website and Facebook. I also let them learn to divide the tasks among themselves. In the next following day, I gave them time to produce their written work. They have to produce their own presentation. They can choose the PowerPoint, the scrapbook, poster, brochure, lab book, and etc. And they have to complete the task given and finalize their project. As for the next following day, they are going to have a rehearsal for the presentation of learning. And on the 25th June, the day for the assessment, pupils do the presentation of learning to the audience. I invited one or two teachers to assess them, and after the presentation, we give feedback for each of the group. This is the PBL rubrics for speaking. Content standard 2.1, 2.5, learning standard and learning objective. Talk about 7 best practices in Lahad Datu. PL here means the performance level. There are 6, and actually you can get it in the SKP. This is the PBL rubrics for writing 4.2, learning standard 4.24, and learning objective. Describe best places in Lahad Datu. Okay, these are the performance standards that I refer to, and you can refer to it, these in the SCAP year 5. This is the rubrics for the project. I only choose 2 criteria, content and language. As you can see, there are 4 benchmark. Okay, one is for need improvement, content. For content, I have only a basic understanding of the content and not well organized. 2, adequate, share a basic understanding of content, not so well organized. 3, good, demonstrate a good understanding of the content and quite organized. And 4, excellent, demonstrate in-depth understanding of the content, very organized and interesting. As for the language, 1, contain many grammar and spelling errors. 2, contain some grammar and spelling errors. And 3, contain some grammar and minor spelling errors. And 4, no grammar and spelling errors at all. Well, actually, you can make your own rubrics. For POL, there are 3. The first one is the delivery. 1, need improvement. No eye contact with audience, enter information to read from notes, speaks in low volume or monotonous tone, and not confident with. You can see there are certain students who are not very confident in terms of speaking. So that is why I choose this project to let them speak. 2, adequate, minimal eye contact with audience, read information from the notes, and most of the time speaks in uneven volume and not so confident. 3, good, consistent use of direct eye contact with the audience, still read information from the notes and speaks with satisfactory variation of volume and inflection and quite confident. And 4, this one is for the excellent students. 1, does not know much about information presented, lack of ideas, 2, adequate, but some of the information, attempts to define subject but still lack in details. And 3, good, understand and able to explain the information presented, have somewhat clearer subjects with some details. And excellent, demonstrates full knowledge of the topic about the information presented, and they can provide clear elaboration details. And the communicative ability, for number 1, not fluent, very insecure and uneasy, message is largely unclear. 2, adequate, moderately fluent, insecure and uneasy, message is somewhat clear. 3, good, fluent, does not look insecure or uneasy, message is clear. And 4 is very fluent, message is very clear, very confident. Planning stage, where the pupils are generating their ideas, they sit in the group and start looking for what are they going to do. POL, the presentation of learning. Some students use the PowerPoint to present, and some use the scrapbook. Are the examples of the artifacts that they had made. Slides, the printed slides that they use in PowerPoint. Okay, this one is my best part because there is a one group. They answer the 7th question. If I were a district officer, I would enforce the law, no rubbish around Lahad, build more garden and recreational park, provide paragliding or canoeing activities, held fishing competition annually, and promote Lahad actively both offline and online. So I think this one is one of the best group. What are the benefits of the project? One, teacher and pupils, we myself also gain new experience during the making of the PBL since this is our first PBL project together. And two, I believe the pupils learn how to gather information and work as a group. They actually love work in a group. And three, they can develop their ICT skills. And four, the pupils can widen their vocabulary and boost their self-confidence, especially during the POL. Next to be improved, the first one is certain people having problems to understand the instruction. Well, it is common, especially when your students have lack of vocabulary or they have problems to understand the instructions. So what I'm going to improve in the next project, maybe use simpler instructions and give extra time to weaker pupils. Maybe I will give them 3 weeks to complete the task. I may facilitate or cater the weaker pupils about the project. Time constraint due to school activities, and I think yes, this is true. And during the lesson plan, we don't have that much time to focus on this project. Okay, how am I going to improve? I will try to facilitate the pupils to complete the task efficiently. And low English proficiency, I'll try to give them extra time to rehearse or add extra note and guidance for the weaker pupils. Well, I think that's all for now. Thank you for lending your ears.
Thank you and hats off, Miss Bibiana. Let's proceed to our 9th presenter, Miss Mahadewi Binti Chaga from SK Lahad 4. She is one of the elite teachers with massive 14 years experience in teaching field, specializing on English language.
Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you for taking time to watch my presentation today. I am Mahadewi Binti Chaga, an English teacher who is currently teaching at SK Lahad 4. My presentation today is about English Year 5 project-based learning under the topic wildlife, and the title of the lesson is Unique and Rare Animals. The following is the slide of my PBL learning plan. For this PBL, I choose to emphasize on speaking as the main skill and writing as secondary to achieve 3 learning objectives, which are By the end of the project, pupils will be able to talk about unique and rare species of animals, describe some of the uniqueness of rare animals, and explain and give reasons for simple opinions. As you can see here, this PBL took about 2 weeks to be completed. It started on the 15th of August 2022 until the 26th of August 2022. And here are the essential question, unit question, and content questions that I listed and used as stimulus for my pupils throughout the lesson that I guess successfully helping them in designing their project and presentation that they produce later on. And here's the timeline for the entire project. As I mentioned before, this PBL took 2 weeks of lesson. And for the first week of the PBL, from the 15th of August until the 19th of August this year, I made sure my pupils completed the planning and half of the implementation process. And by the second week, the implementation process successfully completed and followed by the presentation of learning by the pupils. As for the assessment, of course, I have to refer to the main rubric from the standard-based English language curriculum document, or so-called the SKP. And this is actually the rubrics for the speaking skill that I got from the SKP, while this one is the rubrics of PBL for the writing skill. To assess my pupils' project and presentation, I also came up with special scoring rubrics, which I mostly refer from the PBL paper in the compilation of PBL PKP version. So this is the rubric for the project. And this one is the rubric for the presentation of learning. While this one is the scoring sheet that I use when I assess the pupils for the presentation of learning. I also provided a table of conversion to make it easy for me to convert my pupils' marks into bands. Yeah? So this is the table of conversion. So this scoring marks and bands is actually aiming my pupils could actually elevate their level of performance to the highest one that they can actually get. Yeah, and Alhamdulillah, there were 4 of my pupils managed to get band 6, 6 of them band 5, 14 of them band 4, and the rest 20 managed to achieve the minimum performance standard band 3 for both speaking and writing skill that I listed. The following slides will be pictures showing the learning process that my pupils got through in this PBL. This is the planning phase on the first week of the project timeline. My pupils were actually plan their next steps to get answers for the content questions listed for the PBL and start dividing tasks between group members. While this one here is where they were preparing for presentation of learning, that is POL, by referring to the rubric provided by the teacher. And the last picture here is the day where the presentation of learning took place. All 9 groups successfully managed to present their projects. Now is the slide that shows the benefits and aspects to be improved for the PBL from my point of view. As for the benefits, the PBL help pupils develop their teamwork and problem-solving skill in more fun, meaningful lessons. It also inculcates pupils' communicative skill with others through presentation of project, boosts pupils' confidence in using the language effectively, provide a platform for the pupils to elevate their levels of performance, and last but not least, foster creativity among pupils. And for the improvements of the PBL, should focus on the HOTS, time constraints, and free riding aspects. For the HOTS aspects, where the pupils tend to imitate and apply the same medium of presentation, that is diorama, I think the teacher should have prompted pupils to think outside the box and be more creative by sharing ideas of the final products that can actually be produced for the PBL, such as PowerPoint, posters, scrapbook, and etc. As for the time constraints aspect, where pupils face problem to complete the project during lesson time, the teacher should guide people to use the time efficiently, such as doing group discussion through online group chat and allocate tasks based on their individual strength and ability. As for free riding problems, where the pupils, one of several members of them, contribute so little to the project, the teacher should include qualitative peer feedback in grading system to stimulate pupils' awareness. And that's all for my PBL presentation. Thank you for watching and Assalamualaikum. Have a good day.
Thank you for the awesome insight, Ms. Mahadewi. On to our 10th presenter for today, Ms. Nihazatul Husna binti Hamid Isnin from SK Lahad Datu 2. With 5 years of teaching experience, she is currently the head of English panel in her school and also one of the technician officer for public speaking Lahad Datu English Carnival.
Assalamualaikum and good day. I bid to everyone in attendance. My name is Nihazatul Husna Hamid Isnin. I'm currently the head of English panel for SK Lahad Datu 2. For today's sharing session, I will be talking about my experience in conducting project-based learning activities for Year 6 pupils. The topic that I have chosen this time around was It's an Emergency. As the saying goes, forewarned is forearmed. With that mindset, I chose this topic in hope that it could help build up pupils' knowledge on how to prepare for an emergency. In the Academy Stars textbook, emergencies which pupils had learned was more on situational and more man-made emergency, such as blackout, fire, and trapped on a mountain. So, to go beyond this topic, I designed the project so that pupils will also be prepared for natural disasters. My plan for this project was to conduct a 2-week lesson where the first week pupils will be exposed on the topic while the second week pupils will explore on part of the topic that they are more interested in. In this project, there were 8 milestones. Milestone 1: Introduction to Natural Disasters. In these milestones, pupils sit in group, listen to an audio text while rearrange chunked of paragraph about natural disasters to the correct sequence. Then they sat and discussed if there were warned a disaster will strike, what preparation should be made. They were then asked to create a mind map and present their chosen disasters and how to prepare for it. These mind maps were presented via gallery walk. In Milestone 2, locally occurring disasters, pupils were asked to read an online news excerpt on the monsoon season, which is an annual occurrence here in Malaysia and Lahad Datu specifically. They were then asked to answer comprehension questions. Pupils were asked if they were to face disasters that come with the monsoon, such as landslide and flood, what long-term solution can they think of? Pupils brainstormed in their groups and later presented their ideas. For Milestone 3, Introduction to Disaster-Resistant Design, pupils watched 2 videos on natural disaster-resistant design. Then they were asked to identify which disasters were the design most suitable for. In the videos shown to them, pupils were shown video about flood-resistant design and tornado-resistant design. Reaching this part of the milestone, pupils were asked to sit in their group, choose a natural disaster, and sketch their own natural disaster-resistant design. Each group was then asked to display their design. Using 2-stay and 2-stray method, pupils were asked to walk around and ideally provide feedback on their classmate design. Next, in Milestone 4, pupils were once again watching a video. However, this time around, it was on the design for earthquake, where they watched how a Japanese pagoda remained standing despite the frequent occurrence of earthquake in Japan. Next, they watched a spaghetti earthquake-resistant design tower. This is much related to disaster-resistant design and its feasibility as we sit and discussed. How feasible were the design they've created before? Later on, they use the spaghetti earthquake-resistant tower experiment and design their own tower. Later, put them to test. At the end of this milestone, pupils should have learned about how to strengthen their design in order to make sure they could survive the natural disasters they have chosen. Moving forward, more autonomy was given to pupils in these sections of the learning. Independently, for Milestone 5, Group Research on Disasters, pupils were required to find out as much information on their disasters. Then, for Milestone 6, Compiling Data on Disaster and Suitable Resistant Design, pupils were asked to compile their research in a folio and, if necessary, modify their previous design to better resist or to reduce damage when facing such disaster. Then, in Milestone 7, pupils were asked to create a model of natural disaster-resistant design based on their sketch. In my case, instead of creating a physical model, all pupils choose to create a digital model using sandbox-type games, namely Minecraft and Roblox. Lastly, for Milestone 8, pupils were asked to present their model. Pupils were given freedom to present in front of the class or submit a video presentation. I provide this option to help introverted pupils to feel not left out and still be able to share their works without being stressed out by standing in front of a crowd. This project is successful if pupils manage to read sufficiently and display their understanding of the topic via the short information compilation that they have made and texts that they've prepared for their presentations of learning. They will also be considered successful if they could show understanding on what is natural disasters through the design that they have provided and how they could help an individual or society during a disaster. For my rubrics, I focus more on standard of learning for 3.2.2 and 4.3.2, which was for reading, understand specific information and details of simple longer text, and for writing, spell most high frequency words accurately and independently in writing. These are the artifacts and also process of learning which has been conducted throughout the project. On the first picture, you can see pupils were rearranging chunks of paragraph on the disaster description. On the second picture, you can see a pupil making amendment and adding information on their mind map for natural disasters as well as how to prepare for it. On picture 3, you can see pupils are doing presentation via gallery walk. In this process of learning, pupils are having a discussion on how to strengthen their design. And picture 2 and 3, you can see pupils are conducting the short experiments of making spaghetti tower. Lastly, these are the pictures of classroom presentations of learning in which this group of students chooses to use Minecraft in order to create their model. This group of boys make their bunker atop of a mountain, and inside their bunkers they even create a section for farming so that they could survive longer if the disaster were to last longer than they expected. And the second group provide a flood resistant design where they use the game Roblox, in which they created a house with higher than the ground structure so that it will not be affected by flood. The benefits of project-based learning, from my experience, it helped to encourage higher order thinking in pupils. It also inculcates interest in STEMs through games. Project-based learning also helps foster independent learning through project research, and it creates an open learning environment where pupils are free to choose which aspect of the theme that they want to explore more. And lastly, aspect to be improved. If possible, I would use a shorter audio as the long audio is rather taxing for the pupils. And also to make sure pupils are familiarized with item map. I also think it is important to simplify the end product requirement or provide longer time for pupils to create their artifact, as some pupils do complain that the task that I've provided was too complex for them. That's all. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful sharing, Miss Nihazatul Husna. To continue the momentum of the sharing, let's invite our 11th presenter, Miss Balanreta Sandu from SK Silabukan. She is one of the elite teachers which has remarkable 17 years of teaching experience in English language.
Hello, I'm Belandrita Sandu, year 6 teacher from SK Silabukan. Today I'm going to share with you what did I do with my year 6 students, okay? Because somewhere in August we did project-based learning, okay? Um, we did this project, okay, in unit 1, okay, and the title is coping with natural disaster, which can um, be found in Academy Stars year 6 textbook. Okay. in my lesson. Okay, as for the main skills, content standard that I use is 3.3 and 4.3. And for the complementary skills, content standard that I use is 1.2 and 2.3. As for the main skills of learning standard, I used 3.3.1 and 4.3.2. Meanwhile, for the complementary skills learning standard, I used 1.2.1 and 2.3.1. Okay, the learning objectives for my PBL is pupils will be able to listen for information to complete the task given, communicate actively using appropriate parts of speech, reading for information in non-fiction materials, write in linear or non-linear ways to convey information using a range of media, analyze, evaluate, and create an appropriate model or plan for the topic chosen using appropriate media. As for the cross-curricular curriculum elements, okay, I choose STEM, arts, and moral. Okay, the moral value in this PBL that pupils will adapt is take responsibility towards improving the living quality of the society. Okay, so the duration that I took to complete this PBL is 2 weeks. Okay, and the resources that I use is Academy Stars textbook, U6 DSKP. Okay, YouTube, and there are some passage, okay, from Malay Mail. Okay, they about the essential question. I ask my students, okay, about how to prepare for a natural disaster. Okay, this is so that they will have the idea of um, about the whole project that they will be doing. Okay, for the unit question, okay, I ask them, how can you help in living daily life with natural disaster? Content questions, okay, what is a natural? Okay, so this is my project timeline. Okay, so for the first meeting, okay, my pupils listen to YouTube. Okay, listen to YouTube. Okay, and then they will rearrange chunks of passage according to the disaster they randomly choose. Okay, because in the YouTube, okay, there are a few examples of disasters. Okay, so after that, in groups of 3 or 4, pupils will discuss and create a circle map on their selected natural disaster. After that, they will conduct a gallery walk with 1 stay or 2 stray presentation strategy. Okay, for the second meeting, okay, they will be having a passage, okay, from Malay Mail. Okay, after that, they will answer comprehension question. And then later in group 3 to 4, they will discuss and create a mind map on preparation of disaster. And for the third meeting, okay, they will be watching a video on natural disaster. Okay, there are two types of disasters that they watched. They are flood and tornado. Okay, after that, they will complete a worksheet, and later in groups they will sketch. Okay, they will sketch a disaster resistant, okay, that they choose. Okay, they will have to choose either flood or tornado, and then they will sketch either one disaster resistant and present their sketch to the class. Okay, and as for the fourth meeting, okay, they will watch a short video, okay, a short video from YouTube on Japan pagoda design, okay, and they will discuss what on is the best shape as a base in a building tower. And later they will create an earthquake resistant tower using spec. As for the fifth meeting, okay, as for the fifth meeting, they will discuss about their spaghetti and marshmallow tower, okay, and they also will discuss what is the cause, okay, of the disaster that they choose, where can it happen, okay, and they will also search information on how to prepare for it and how to minimize the impact of the disaster. Okay, later they will create a mind map, okay, based on what they discuss, and they will transfer the information into the chosen artifact. Pupils can use, they can choose to use either traditional method or digital medium, okay. As for me, most of all of my students choose digital medium, okay, they did it awesomely, okay. As in step 4, okay, and in okay, so in my PBL, okay, I've created a rubrics. Okay, so in my PBL, I've chosen 4 skills. Okay, listening. Okay, so these are the rubrics for listening. Okay. Um, Later, next is reading. Okay, so as for the benefits, okay, this PBL, okay, benefits teachers and pupils, okay, enjoy themselves during the learning process. All pupils are given equal chances, okay, to take part in PBL. I didn't choose only the good ones, okay, so all of students have their equal chances to use. Every students participate in it. Pupils can expand their communication outside the classroom by using games apps. Okay, and some aspects that um, I found out. Okay, some pupils face problems in understanding the instruction. Okay, some of them don't quite understand what is the instruction. Okay, so how should I improve it? Use simple English to explain the projects to the weak pupils and explain the projects in small chunks so that the pupils do not feel overwhelmed. Next is not enough time in doing the artifacts during the lesson time. Okay, so what should I do is guide pupils to produce the artifacts after school hours and guide the pupils to work and collaborate with each other to increase their efficiency. Lastly, okay, what should I improve is um, I face the problem is here I have some artifacts, okay, of my students' work. Okay, the first picture here shows one of the sketch that I've chosen to present today. Okay, this is one of the example of artifacts, and on my right hand side is one example of marshmallow and spaghetti tower. And down here, okay, we have a digital disaster resistant created by my students. That's all from me. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Thank you, Miss Valenbretta, for that inspiring sharing. On to our 12th presenter, Miss Wan Shafika binti Omar from SK Joroko. With 6 years of teaching experience and a master degree holder in TESOL from UKM, she is currently the head of English panel in her school.
Assalamualaikum. I will be presenting on project-based learning for year 6. Unit 1, it's an emergency. The title would be Survival Skills. My name is Wan Shafika. I am from SK Joroko, Lahad. So this is my lesson plan. This is an extended lesson for Unit 1. It's an emergency. The pupils would have to focus on natural disasters and how to face it. Hence, the title of the project would be Survival Skills. And the duration taken for them to complete the project would be 3 weeks. So in this project, the pupils will be assessed based on the main skills and complementary skills. The main skills were writing and speaking skills, where they have to plan and produce an artifact or more. And they also have to narrate the process of natural disasters and how they react to it and how would they survive the natural disasters. Whereas the complementary skills would be listening and reading. In listening, they have to understand the information shared by their friends, by the teachers during while watching a video, and also when they were reading, they have to transfer the informations that they have read and collected. So by the end of the project, the pupils were expected to plan, produce, and display their products using suitable media. They need to choose their own media, their own artifacts. The teacher would not decide what they have to produce. And they also need to tell sequence of events during a natural disaster while doing their presentation of learning, and have to answer stimulus-related questions correctly. This happened after the presentation of learning. And throughout the process of collecting information, they need to transfer the information into IT maps or mind maps. And some of the cross-curricular elements involved were environmental sustainability, values, science and technology, ICT, creativity, and innovation, as it involves pupils doing a lot of artifacts. And the moral values would be to always be prepared to handle emergency. And some of the resources were Academy Stars textbook, the Old English Year 5 textbook, Year 6 textbook, the SKP, and also YouTube. I think this is the most vital part in the project, as it helps to guide the pupils on what to search for, what to answer. So I asked them to make sure they answer all the curriculum questions. So the essential question is, can we survive natural disasters? And then the unit question is, how can we survive natural disasters? And for the content question, the pupils will have to answer 7 questions. What are natural disasters? In what way does natural disaster affect our life? And some of these questions were answered during the initial activities with the teachers. And some of the questions, they have to answer it during the presentation of learning. So for example, how do you cope with the result of natural disaster? This is some of the questions that I would ask after their presentation. And are natural disasters man-made? How do you prevent natural disaster from happening? And what skills do you think are important? These are some of the questions that they would have to find answers while collecting information and transferring the information into the I think maps template that had been provided. The activities conducted on 20th of June. The first activity is introduction, where the pupils watch a video, and on 29th of June, I reviewed the previous lesson, and the pupils would have to define natural disasters and take a look at few examples of natural disasters and make a tree map about it. And then on 30th of June to 5th of July is the brainstorming session, the flipped classroom, where they had to find certain information and brainstorm what kind of natural disasters that they would research on. And on 6th to 7th of July, the pupils started to collect information and transfer all the information that they had collected into the I think map template that were provided. And on 12th to 14th of July 2022 is their presentation of learning. And after the first presentation, the pupils revise their POL based on the feedback given. And 24th of July is their reflection on their POL and final feedback given by the teacher. Moving on, these are some of the pictures taken during the activities throughout the project. So the first one are the pictures of pupils watching a video, How Do Floods Happen? This is the first lesson. And these are the 3 examples of mind maps done by the pupils while brainstorming for the kind of disasters that they would like to research on. So these 2 activities were conducted to prep the pupils for their POL. So they need to transfer information based on what they had read. The first one, they had to do 3 maps, and while doing the flipped classroom and also while collecting for information for their project, they need to do a series of maps, including flow map, circle map, bubble map, and the breast map. So this is where I assessed their reading skill. The rubrics are set based on the Year 60 SKP. Rubric for listening skill. So the pupils will be assessed based on their performance level and the amount of support given. This is the rubric for speaking skill. This one is for assessing the pupils' reading skill. And the last one is for assessing writing skill. For the artifacts, the pupils chose their own artifacts and they did it based on their own creativity. These were some of the pictures taken during the pupils' presentation of learning. One group is doing a model for volcano eruption, another pop-up model and folio, and also a demonstration and slideshow. Let's take a closer look at the artifacts. These are the 2 folios done by the pupils. These 2 artifacts were pop-up models equipped with informations written in simple paragraphs. This is where I assessed their writing skill. These 2 articles were earthquakes model, whereas some groups were doing demonstration, for example, flood demonstration and earthquake demonstration. And for the earthquake demonstration, the pupils made a simple circuit to show the effect of earthquake based on the model that they had produced. And one particular group also attempted to produce a slideshow. So this is the picture of their slideshow. Moving on, while conducting the project-based learning, these are some of the benefits that I had identified. The first one is I noticed that my pupils became more independent learner as they explore and interpret information independently. Some also develop new skills such as searching for information in the internet, and also some found new information on how to build the model and to also enhance their presentation skills throughout the POL. And for me and the pupils, I think we stray from the conventional classroom atmosphere. So we have a more diverse learning experience other than the one we actually did in classroom. And parents were also involved in their children's learning, especially in giving feedback throughout the project and providing necessary funds. There are, however, few aspects to improve on while doing this project. So there are three aspects to improve on. The first one is the amount of support provided. I noticed that my pupils face difficulties in sourcing for information despite the guidance given. So I need to pre-teach words, keywords to be used while searching for information. For example, how does flood happen? How to survive an earthquake? So that particular keyword actually ease them in searching for information, as some are not familiar in using the Google search engine. And I also need to emphasize on language use during presentation of learning, as the pupils focus more on the products and did not answer the curriculum questions unless prompted. So I need to keep asking them the questions throughout the presentation. So in order to improve this aspect, I need to demonstrate on how to focus and filter information for their presentation of learning. And I could share the rubrics with people to make sure that they are on track. And the third one is the time frame. I think I need to give more feedback to the pupils and provide multiple feedback sessions so that their presentation is better. That's all. Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you, Miss Wan Shafika, for that beautiful sharing. Last but not least, our 13th and final presenter for this sharing session, Miss Priti Elka K. George from SK Sepagaya. With 6 years of teaching experience, she is now IPG alumni majoring in Datu.
I'm an English language teacher from SK Sepagaya Lahad, Datu. So today I would like to share a little bit about my project-based learning activities that I have done with my Year 6 students recently. It was based on the Year 6 Academy Stars textbook in the unit How It Is Made in page 78. The duration for this project was about 2 weeks, from the 1st until the 12th of August 2022. And there are two main tasks for this project. The first task was to write and prepare a narrative text, which they will use to narrate their video later on. And then the second task is to create a promotional video, or in other words, an advertisement. Uh, and they have to record themselves while presenting it. So the topic is how is it made? And the title of the project is Let's Sell This, and this is under the theme World of Knowledge. So the target pupils were the Year 6 pupils of SK Sapagaya, and those who have participated were the Year 6 integrity pupils, which I taught myself. And there were 34 pupils, which comes from various backgrounds, and mostly have medium to low proficiency level in English language. As for the content standards, in the curriculum content, there were two main content standards that I have chosen. The first one is more focused on communication and also in creating media. And then the second one is more on language use in the presentation, either in linear text, written text, or by verbal use. These are the learning objectives for the project. By the end of the project, pupils will be able to first plan, produce, and display their products using suitable media. And then second one, they will be able to make a narrative text for an advertisement. Number three, they will be able to answer stimulus-related questions correctly. This is usually during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And then the fourth is to transfer information into graphic organizer. For the cross-curricular elements, there are four educational elements integration. The first one is financial education, followed by ICT, creativity and innovation, and last one, entrepreneurship. For the curriculum questions, there are three main components. The first one is essential question. Why do we need creativity in selling products? And then the second one is unit question. How can we attract buyers to buy a product? And then for the content questions, there are 6 that are listed here. These are all related directly to the tasks in the project itself. First one, what is this product? What is the description of this product? How can this product be used? Who can buy this product or who can use it? What is the suitable value for this product or the pricing? And how is this product better than the others? There are about 8 brief project procedure steps that I have listed here. First, the pupils were briefed on the topic from the textbook. So, as usual, I did an introduction to the topic first, and then I gradually moved to the project, explaining the project. First, I asked them whether they have seen advertisements from various sources, such as television or maybe social media apps, online platforms such as YouTube, or maybe from other sources. And they responded to me by giving feedback, such as or opinions, such as whether the selling tactics were attractive enough for the buyers to buy the products or not, and whatsoever. And then after explaining to them the main tasks, the two main tasks before, I divided them into groups of 4 or 5, and then they were given a period of time to choose which product they would like to advertise on or would like to sell, and they can do a little bit of research about the product. And then whatever they have found, they will show them to me, and I will give them a heads up if it's okay or no, and they will have to do all over again. And then the pupils will plan their advertisement, how it flows, the design, the text, and etc. And they will start writing narrative text. In this step, they will provide me with drafts and lots of drafts and correction here and there. Teachers give a lot of guidance during this step, and then they create the advertisement using a lot of apps, maybe CapCut or Canva or Microsoft PowerPoint. They can create posters or even record videos of themselves. And then last but not least, they present their work in class. We had a Q&A session and reflection session together. So these are some of the photos that I have taken during the early stages of the project. They were given 3 days to do planning, doing research and gathering information, and then also planning the working structure. In this picture, they were doing a brainstorming session. They were looking for items or products that they would like to advertise on. So during this phase, from the 3rd until the 8th of August, the pupils were given time to do research, mostly done online at home because they have better access to devices and also internet at home compared to at school. This was done under the guidance of their parents, but sadly there were no pictures taken, so I could not include them here. The pupils were also given time to create their visual aid, such as slideshows, video recordings, posters, and so on. And they did this by themselves using online softwares, which is not really a concern for me because most of them were already aware of such softwares, CapCut, Canva, and so on, because most of them were already on social media platform. And then they were also given time to do their narrative text. They prepared drafts for me to check and then do corrections and so on until they came up with the final version of the narrative text that will be used as the narration for the video recording later on. From 9th to 10th of August, the pupils were given time to do their recordings. The pupils record themselves doing presentation of their posters, do a bit of acting or role play, and some of them even imitate live online sellers from Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, as you can see from the all boys group over there. These are some of the other teams. They did a bit of a role playing. These are the groups that are doing peer reviews. They did posters. They created posters of the product that they would like to advertise or sell on. And the pupils gave their peers some constructive feedbacks, what they can improve on, and so forth. As for the issues and suggestion for improvements, there were two major issues that I encountered during the commencement of the whole project. The first one was lack of ICT equipment by the school. So the pupils had to rely on their own devices and also my own equipments to do the project, especially during the recording and also creating visual aids. This took time to complete because the pupils could only share equipment with other groups, and it caused a major lag throughout the project timeline. And then the second one was time management. In my opinion, the pupils' time management could be improved with a to-do checklist. The pupils were involved in various activities in and out of school, so it took a bit of a hustle to get them on track. These are some of the samples of the pupils' works, mainly posters. Most of them were done using Canva and also Microsoft PowerPoint. And these are some of the samples of videos that they have recorded.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning. We are crafting the screen. My name is Sharifah Felicia Bintran. This is my friend Wani Zalika Infant. We would like to introduce the product which is a shawl. This is a shawl from product development very popular product. This product I told you about is here to its company. You can use the matching images and there are Thank you. Good morning, our group will show you a shirt. Then primary. Our shirt is is also not
So that's all from me today. Thank you for listening and watching the presentation. I hope this will give you a little bit of insight on how the PBL was done.
It was indeed an awesome sharing, Miss Preeti. Thank you. To those who are currently watching, via YouTube. Hope you will gain something from this sharing session. Thank you and have a good day.